Hi there, this is Keller Barnette, CPA, back again. If you need to find me, my contact information is 2500 Sutherland Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37919. Phone number 865-7300-272 or CPA. And my email, barnette.cpa@gmail.com. Facebook.com/BarnetteCPA. Moving on. So now I'm going to be discussing how to make the entries to this sheet. As I discussed in the previous video, the entries will sum up onto this P&L, but I'll go into that on the next video. So when you're making an entry, you'll start off with a sheet like this, and this one is titled Bank Personal, so this is my personal account. The starting date, starting balance, and then I've reconciled it through February 28th. With an ending balance of $2,009.55 in this example. You want to enter all your data here. So, and then you enter the date of the statement. This is just an additional reconciliation feature. So, this date, and that amount next to it agree with this amount. Okay, so when I first make my entries, I'll just key it in like I'm doing the entries at the top there. $320, and the source of that income was a W-2. If I've used it once before, then it'll autofill. You might need to scroll through. Oh, you can't see the scrolling, but you can click this little tab right here, and it'll give you all your options if you forget what they are. But after you've done it once, for example, if I need to type personal, it's going to come right up because it's the first P option that I've used already. You can't see that, can you? Oh, you can. Yeah, okay, good. And then over here you can enter a description. For example, this could be, let's just call it McDonald's. If I was working over at McDonald's. But if you only have one employer, you don't really need to do that because you know where you got the money from. And then you'll copy and paste whatever you need for your entries. For example, we could be doing the March information, so I'd enter it like that, and then I would copy it and just paste it down like that. So make all my March entries and then delete the things that I don't need. And you can tell by my little coding there, I got the year 2014, the month 03, MAR for March, and then a 4-digit code. You can use the last 4 digits of your bank account or credit card, especially if you have multiple. That's going to be a good idea. But for this simple worksheet, I just used purse and bussy or busy, card, and cash. Good enough. So that's how that works. And then it gives you a little bit of history of what your account was on certain dates. For example, this person had $1,000 at the start of the year, $2,800 later, and then $2,000 at February. And you can see all these little accounts. Most of these, in this example, are all your personal accounts. You'll be using like your retirement, your fund, kids out of your personal. Auto will be from your personal, and your you have the utility bills. Maintenance on the home and utility bills should be out of this one. Okay. Then out of your business account, same thing, you just enter all the data right here. I black out the first row, so you can't use the first row there. But here's some common business expenses: sales, office supplies, furniture, which is like an asset in this case. We'll get back to that. You can just use inventory for stuff that you sell to people. I just used inventory for simplicity of understanding. And then once you enter everything correctly, there will be a dash right here. If you are off, then that number will tell you how much you are off by. But after you're done with all your entries, it'll go back to a dash. And then if you're, apparently I didn't do it here, but if you're transferring between accounts, for example, let's say I transfer $500 from my business account to my personal, then I put personal here, and then likewise on the personal tab, when I receive $500, I'll put BUSI for business. Let me just go ahead and do that. So in this case, so if I'm taking money out, it's a negative. So I took 500 bucks out of the business account and I added 500 to the personal account, and that came from the business account. So, and then I put my little descriptions over here, and that's how you deal with transfers. Okay, so that's that. On the business credit card, you'll have similar type of stuff. Telephone, whatever. You can put that one on your personal or business, whatever. Normally I keep that on my personal, really. But that's some basic examples. And then your cash. Maybe you pay for labor in cash sometimes. That's pretty common. Keep track of your professional expenses separate. That's like accounting, legal, and marketing are the three that are most common that I see. Okay, and then this is the chart of accounts. You can edit these. The ones with the single dash are the ones that you have the option of editing, so that if let's say you want to keep track of how much we are on your, geez, can't click anywhere. Okay, on the personal side of things, maybe you got something specific coming up, such as can't really building the pool. So you make an account called pool, and that way you can section off the money that you spent trying to make the pool. But you got to do it in this area. You will not be allowed to enter pool here. There's a screen telling me to cancel or retry because pool is not an option. But if I put it over in this accounts tab first, replace one of these single dash lines, then it will be an option at that point. So that's the data entry, and now this is an optional worksheet. I would suggest trying to work with it as best you can. It is to keep track of your client list. Put the first name here, last name here, their street address, city, state, zip code, when did they become your client, customer loyalty type of a thing, email address, phone number, who referred them to you, such as are they family, are they Google referral, whatever. Any notes that you may have, there's additional note sheets, note tabs. They're probably not really necessary. And then as you enter that information, that stuff will auto-populate over to these formulas here on the left, like that. We'll use the client ID of their first name followed by their street address. That will make sure that they're always unique. And then if you click here, if you Control-C for copy and then paste it somewhere, you'll have the person's street address if you ever need it. Looks a little funny there, but don't worry about that. It works for if you ever do mailers. Now, if you click on this box at all, that's going to go away, and you got to do undo. Okay. So that's just you have to Control-C and then paste it when you want it. That's just a little tidbit there. I got these little links up here in blue. You might have seen them, and they allow you to click back and forth at different things. So when we enter all that information over in the personal and the business tab, we're going to copy all of our stuff right here from January. Starts with that 320 W2, and we're going to paste it right here. And you're going to go through and just paste everything down below, like in this section, for each of your individual tabs, and then you'll write March 31st or whenever your reconciling date is, and then you'll correct that and correct those. Your statements won't all end on the same date. Business in this example is February. The card's ending 2/11, and the cash is ending 2/28. So cash you'll always reconcile to 0 standard there, just unless you start keeping a lot of cash. Otherwise, just reconcile it to 0 all the time. If it's like 500 bucks or less, whatever. So I always call this February. Whenever the statement ending date is, you're going to say that you're reconciled through that month for our purposes here. which means that you'll have to reconcile January 2015 to make sure that you get all the charges for the 2014 year. But still, for talking purposes, for simplicity, you're just going to call it February, the February statement. You can pick a date, whatever you like here, but I'm just using the end of the month for this example. So, and here, these entries were put in January 31st, 2014, and at that time, this person, their overall accounts had increased by $2,700 approximately, and since then, for the month of February, their accounts increased by $1,400. So that's a little sneaky way that you can get the change month to month, as much as that is useful. And then when you update this to the current, okay, and then if you try to enter something that's not a date, you'll get an error on the screen, but that doesn't show up in the video. Anyway, so I'm updating that to February 28th. This shows a dash, which means that I've done it all correctly. And this is my change since the beginning of the year, a positive of $4,000 increase in this example here. And you can see in these descriptions that I got some McDaniels is a customer, Pfizer is a customer, Ferguson is a customer, a little bit of a description. It's important to say who the labor was paid to, Jimmy or A-Rod in this case. Where did you buy the furniture from? I got it from Walmart. So when it comes to furniture, you're going to use these filters. Now this doesn't show up in the video, but this little box here, if you've never used a filter before, you click this down arrow, unselect everything, and then click, you're going to look for the words computers and furniture. These are the two types of furniture that most people have. And that will get rid of everything except for things that say computers and furniture. This is another way that you can find specific things, like maybe you want to find all your Walmart purchases, or you want to find everything for a certain time period. But in this case, we're looking for furniture. So you select that, you copy it, go over to your asset tab, and then paste it over here. Let's see here. This is the furniture, so just paste it here wherever, and then you do that for your computers as well. And notice I left this. In all these other worksheets, you don't want to leave a space between anything. You want to just have it go down month to month, no spaces in between. That will, if you start leaving spaces, that'll mess it up. But for the asset tab, leave a space between each bulk furniture purchase. For example, if you buy multiple pieces of furniture at once, then you enter it like this, and this was your office decor. So you spent $1,050 in total for the office decor, and you could just kind of bunch it up if it's all bought about the same time period, right around the same time, and for the same purpose. But if not, then you enter it as individual items like you see here above, and a little description of where you bought it from. Keep your receipts, of course. Your bank statements obviously are the most helpful thing, but you also need to keep your receipts. Okay, but for this tab, just keep in mind, everything is, you always start here on these 4 individual tabs, and then you copy and paste that over to here, and then you copy and paste the furniture and computers over to there. So I'm going to go back and show all the accounts now. So all the accounts are showing, and then the P&L will be, the summary tab will be filled in automatically. So I will talk about that more next. Thank you.